Kigali. The world is shifting fast. Elections are shaping destinies, wars are redrawing borders, economies are rising and falling, and global alliances are being tested like never before. But what does it all mean for you?
With a new administration and a new president in the White House trying to put an end to the war.
I didn't know the historical context, what the state of Israel means.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Welcome back to Borderlines, the only show that takes you beyond borders. Now, let me make a confession to all of you. I have stalked him. That's a direct, honest confession. I have stalked him. My EP has stalked him. Borderlines has been stalking him since last year. Remember, I told you it takes a lot of being a nuisance for us to get the guest on this show. Well, we've been an absolute nuisance, but we finally have him. I think he just thought, you know what? I'm going to do this show. Let me get these two crazy people off my back now. Because honestly, I go into his comments and I'm like, you know, come on Borderlines. We will let you talk there and all of that stuff. He's laughing. But let me introduce him to you. You see, he's not just Nigerian. He's not just a photographer. Heck, he's not just a filmmaker. His lens have captured some of the most defining moments of our time. From Black Lives Matter to intimate portraits of global icons like the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Angelina Jolie, Rihanna, Kate Blanchett, and so many more. He made history, yes, history, as the first black man to shoot British Vogue. Now, that's not just an ordinary British Vogue. No, it's not just an ordinary British Vogue cover. Those of you who don't know, it's the September issue. Look. I lived for the September issue of Vogue. It was a Bible. It's a collector's item. And my next guest, Misan Harriman, is the first black man to shoot that September cover. Misan, finally, I can stop stalking you. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. And what an intro. My Momsi will be very proud, Sha. Thank you.
Momsi should be proud anyway. Look, no, like I said, myself and my EP, we've been an absolute nuisance. In fact, your brother, Obi Asika, will tell you how much of a nuisance I have been.
Obi, what a legend.
Indeed.
No, sorry, it's all come together. I think everything happens at the right time, and I'm actually in the gallery at the moment. And it's my first solo exhibition. It's in one of the only black-owned galleries in London, and it's MKO's son, Aki Abiola. And I'm showing so much of what you have just spoken about is on the walls, just to remind people who we are, this new community of humans that are deciding that we're not accepting the mistakes of our past, and we can forge a better future for all. So thank you for having me, and I'm honored to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure. Look, we're going to go straight to it. I don't have enough time. I wanted you for 2 hours, but they won't allow me to be selfish. Heck, I'm sure you have a whole lot more to do without me holding you down. So today, a declaration was made, and I saw it. I saw you do an SOS on your Instagram, which you often do as ambassador of Save the Children. You always do. When there's a big news, you will do breaking news. It's always a call to action. But for my listeners who haven't heard that, permit me to just play 1 minute of what Tom Fletcher said.
Sure.
It is a famine. The Gaza famine. It is a famine that we could have prevented if we had been allowed. Yet food stacks up at borders because of systematic obstruction by Israel. It is a famine within a few hundred meters of food in a fertile land. It is a famine that hits the most vulnerable first, each with a name, each with a story, that strips people of dignity before it strips them of life, that forces a parent to choose which child to feed, that forces people to risk their lives to seek food. It is a famine that we repeatedly warned of, but that the international media has not been allowed in to cover, to bear witness. It is a famine in 2025, a 21st century famine, watched over by drones and the most advanced military technology in history. It is a famine openly promoted by some Israeli leaders as a weapon of war. It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine.
The Gaza famine is the world's famine. And it's interesting that Tom Fletcher starts with, it is a famine.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he expected them to argue, Israel to come out and say, no, it is not. Talk to us about that and that SOS that you put out on your handle today.
You know, to get past IPC stage 5, which is the worst categorization you can have, to actual famine, I just want people to understand that most people, when it reaches the stage of famine, cannot be saved. So what you're talking about is the most vulnerable, as he said, children and the elderly. Many of them are waiting to die. And we will be haunted by the ghosts of our inaction. This is something that I don't know about you, Ireti. In my life, I never thought that we would sit by and bear witness to.
Absolutely not. Who could have imagined this?
It's and in any other situation in the world, and there are a lot of bad things happening in the world, but in any other situation, there are borders that people can escape out of. But to have 6 times the amount of explosive force used for Hiroshima, a nuclear bomb, on a posted card-sized place, of which 1 million of the human beings are children that cannot get out, is unique. People need to understand that. It is completely unique, that the level of violence being rained down on a small place of which half of the humans are children, is I'm incandescent with rage, but I try and channel my rage into the work I do with my photography, my filmmaking, my voice online, and I am global ambassador for Save the Children. I have not been able to get into Gaza, obviously, or even the West Bank. I managed a few months ago to get to Egypt, and I ran a photography course for Palestinian children that I managed to get out when we had the very brief ceasefire we had earlier in the year. So I'm doing everything in my power as someone that has some kind of agency to lobby the men that sit next to the levers of power to do something to stop this settler colonial apartheid state. And I'm sorry, you cannot be Nigeria or black from the continent of Africa and not recognize apartheid, for God's sake. You know, all this English they're using about the only democracy in the Middle East is absolute madness. If there is a nation state where one group of people cannot drive down one road, have to go through how many checkpoints, their children have different healthcare to another. How is that a democracy? They can't even travel. So I think all of the legacy of colonialism and white supremacy is something that we as Nigerians should recognize, because our own country was occupied. They may use that word colonialism, but I know what my parents were born into, right? So that's why, and my uncle, the late Leslie Harriman, my father's only brother, was the first chairman of the Special Committee Against Apartheid for the United Nations. So this thing is in my family. So who am I to have any kind of platform and just get on with my fabulous life? Absolutely not.
Indeed. There's a quote that you've used by Robert Frank, who said, "The eye should learn to listen before it looks." So, and then one of your pictures from Black Lives Matter. So often there has been times when I've imagined that I'm the one you've taken a picture of. You have to forgive me. My imagination goes insane.
There's only time now.
My imagination is wild. But the one that I really wished, I'm like, I wish that had been me, is the one, it's the image where it says, "Why is ending racism a debate?" Do you remember it, with the woman
of
carrying
course.
it,
Yes.
carrying it up? Talk to us about how the eye, listens before it looks, and that in relevance to what we're seeing on the streets today and the protests that you are capturing with your lens.
Well, I think the two things that are happening. The streets are screaming. The streets are screaming. Listen, I had a woman come in the other day from Beijing in tears. So I was like, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yes, there's a huge Palestine solidarity community in Beijing." So in regards to that image, it was outside the US Embassy 2020. And I think for us, we've seen so many Black men and women be killed that we had run out of tears by the time we saw George Floyd lying in his own piss, begging for his mama, still calling the men that were killing him sir. And I went out to see what my lens would observe, and my lens was seeing my own trauma. It was seeing so much of what it is to be Black in a world that is hyper-focused in reducing our humanity. And I think the honesty of my observation is because I understood so much of the rage and the trauma and the resistance that the streets of London were telling me. That was the beginning of my journey in many ways of wholesale observation of protests. But of course, when you see the protests that are happening for Congo, for Sudan, and for Palestine, I see many of the same people. Because people are now putting the dots together that it is the same demon at the top. The neo-colonial, white supremacist, hyper-capitalist structure that we are forced to pretend is our normal is built off the bodies of brown and Black corpses. And people are beginning to recognize this. And that's why in the last 2 years almost, there is a much stronger sense of we need to be better than what we are being told to accept. And that's what my imagery is observing. And the idea that I've become, if not the most visible photographer on the planet, and it is observing the truth of our times, is something I'm deeply proud of, but I'm also deeply proud of on its ability to build bridges and community outside of what many, and I know you've been amazing on this station, but I have to be honest with you, the fourth estate, our press, especially tax-funded organizations like the BBC, have failed us. How can a hospital be bombed in Ukraine and they use the right language and they call out the Russian military for doing the murdering of people in hospitals? And it happens in Gaza and they speak as if the hospital just collapsed on itself. Who fired the missile? How did these children burn to death? Right? Language is very, very important. So I think the reason my profile has really grown so much in the last 2 years is that people don't feel gaslit when they either listen to me speak or when they see my images and see that they are not alone in their absolute disgust of the moral bankruptcy of the politicians that are supposed to lead us. And if you are of color, if you are a Black or brown person, and you see that the Black and brown people that are supposed to be in the rooms of power have become the black faces of white supremacy, like Kemi Badenoch or Badenoch or whatever she is called,
or Kimberly,
Priti
as our
Patel.
vice president now calls her Kimberly. He said we no longer call her Kemi.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. But think about that. The most high-profile black people and brown people
David Lammy.
are they're saying and behaving. They're saying things that the racist white guy down the pub would never say to your face. So of course people are frustrated. So I don't think anything that I'm saying or any of my art or any of the films that I'm doing are remotely radical. But it's become a rare thing to see someone just be sensible. All I am is sensible and trying to say that maybe it's wrong to bomb babies. You know.
Just maybe, yes. Perhaps somebody perhaps somebody would just listen. Just maybe. Yeah. So, Doctors Without Borders say that Gaza has the largest concentration of child amputees in the world now. Again, your passion for children is, it's all over. It's all over everything that you do. It literally drives your passion for humanity and rightness and being on the right side. Talk to us about why, there's that thing where they talk about children, but they don't talk about these jarring statistics. So it's, the children are starving, and then they don't talk about the fact that child amputees, I mean, who do we hold responsible? How do we react to that? Because one of the things you do help your followers to sort of vent out and find the language to respond to this moment of outrage that we're all living in.
Well, yes, and it's such a dystopian Orwellian existence because Palestine and Israel is the only thing that I've experienced in my life where you have to, I call it doing a marathon on eggshells, right? You do not risk your job, you do not risk your mortgage, you do not risk any kind of cancellation if you're talking about Niger, Congo, Sudan, even Yemen. People say, yes, it's awful, and they get on with it. But the moment you mention Palestine, the moment you mention it, you risk everything. And that's when you know that is where you need to actually focus, because if there is that level of risk, then that is the root source of so much of the ills of the world. Israel wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't supported by an alliance of mainly America, but the UK, Germany, the French. Many people are still helping in a myriad of different ways. I don't know about anyone listening, but I will speak for myself when I say that the closest thing to God, the closest thing to the celestial are our children. And if you are comfortable with knowing that your tax-funded weapons are going to kill innocent children, you have to understand in Gaza, the children are scared. When they walk outside, they look at the floor now. They walk with their head like this, looking at the floor, because death, the sky equals death. They are scared to look up at the sky. They hear drone sounds when they're not even there. They have chronic insomnia because as soon as they go to sleep, they have nightmares that reminds them why they are orphaned. It's themselves. Those that have lost their limbs keep asking the doctors when their leg or arm is going to grow back. And all of them, beyond the starvation, are completely and utterly suicidal because they want to go to where their family are, and their family have left this mortal coil. The devil will look away from what is happening to these children. And we have David Lammy saying, I'm going to check on what Israel are saying. We will investigate. Abba. So, as an ambassador to one of the largest children's charities in the world, it is my job to be an ambassador for children. Which is why I a lot of people saw it went viral a few weeks ago when I called out David Beckham. I didn't single out David Beckham just because he's famous. I singled him out because he is the most famous UNICEF ambassador that we have in the United Kingdom. And how on earth can you be a goodwill ambassador for a children's charity and say nothing about the one place in the world where children are being annihilated, and it is live streamed to our phones? How? If you don't want to be ambassador for children, then leave, and you can get on with your fabulous life. You can be on the yachts and chop your money and enjoy it. No, there are plenty of people doing that. But if you choose to be a children's ambassador, then for God's sake, be a voice for children. Otherwise, history will judge your legacy by the silence you had.
Thank you so much. It's interesting that you mentioned the celebrities, but I actually want to go back to something you said earlier. And this is, they say to whom much is given, much is expected. And that's what you said. My uncle did this. So literally, how can I have a platform and not use my, like literally this was born into me. And, my ancestors expect me to carry it forward. And then you have celebrities beyond David Beckham. Many celebrities who haven't said a word, who are not hungry. We understand, okay, there's those who have a mortgage. Indeed, in Nigeria, if I may say, one of the things that we're seeing is that the fear of not being able to get an American visa is actually the STFU to a lot of my colleagues. You know what STFU stands for, right? To a lot of my colleagues, right? And they will say to me, Ireti, it's okay for you. You've got a British passport. So you know what? I can't judge. Like you said, I beg, but I can't judge. And I took that from you. What do we say to the likes of DJ Khaled? What do we say to the Beyoncés who are not hungry? What do we say to Beyonce's mother? What do we say to Jay-Z? What is Kelly doing? Oh, I could go on and on and on and on and on. Even Kanye, I don't know whether he said anything. And Kanye is known for actually speaking up. His controversy and Kanye at 5 and 6. And I also see a lot of African Americans trying to sort of, explain both sided, both sides. Talk to us about that. I know I'm going on a rant.
No. I mean, look, I believe that the next generation of artists are going to really embarrass our icons of today. Doechii is being very vocal. The new generation is baked in. So, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Adele, Jay-Z, these people have, combined over 1 billion followers on social media. And if you look at the machinery, their publicists, the record labels that they're on, the people that are managing them, many of those people have the wrong view on this situation. Many of them have the same, a lot of Americans have been raised to see the brown man, the Arab man, as either a rich fool or a violent terrorist. He can't be a father, a poet, a teacher, or philosopher. He's either a rich fool or a terrorist. And that has been drip fed to them in the post 9/11 generation through Hollywood, through entertainment. You watch Homeland, the show everyone loved, and there's a blonde lady running around the Middle East, and the baddie, well, everyone bad in it is brown, but the baddie is called Abu Hamza, right? You watch True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It is one of the most ferociously anti-Muslim, anti-Arab films, and we all were entertained. And I think to be entertained at the expense of the reduction of the humanity of an ancient people that have so much nuance, that have so much history, so much of language and philosophy and science comes from this part of the world. Yet we have been told that they wake up and the first thing they look for is to blow themselves up or whatever it is, or grab a gun. So that doesn't mean that it's not just white Americans. I think Black Americans have also been fed this. So you have to go on a journey of decolonizing your mind, recognizing that even some of our Black icons have a job in the machine of the white supremacist, neo-colonial war for profit machine that is America. America is the most successful settler colonial entity of all. Forget Black people. The First Nation people of America, where are they now? look at the success they have had in eradicating a people that knew how to live off the land, a people that frankly took better care of Mother Nature and Mother Earth than we are at the moment. So, America and Israel actually have a lot in common, and we shouldn't pretend that they don't. And of course, on the political spectrum, you have AIPAC and the lobbying culture of American politics, where you see Black people like Cory Booker, signing for extra weapons and machinery to be sent to kill a group of people that over 1 million of them are under 15 years old. So I think America needs to go. Especially African Americans also need to go on a journey. There are amazing people like Mark Lamont Hill that speak really, really well about this. There are amazing African Americans, but to tell me that Beyonce and Jay-Z are on that journey, I don't think they're able to do so, because the machinery that allows them to be billionaires, it is not in their interests to have Taylor Swift and Adele wake up. Imagine Beyonce woke up tomorrow and said, "Free Congo."
Yeah.
Free Sudan.
I mean, that shouldn't
Palestine.
be controversial.
It shouldn't, and you can't cancel her. And this is the thing that is so incredible about how we are living, is that the people that can't be cancelled are the quietest, right? If LeBron James, Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce said "Free Palestine" with a link of, medical aid for Palestine to raise money, to say that they are going to go to Egypt and they are staying in Egypt onto aid and TAS only, it would be a watershed, game-changing moment. But of course, they wouldn't say that. And history is going to remember what we all did. Listen, it's on all of us, right? All of us. History is going to remember. And when our children look at us and say, did we really let a people be erased? Did we really let it happen?
Indeed. We're going to be asked. I mean, it's interesting. We just heard, was it last month, finally heard from Bob Gildoff. I did ask people, where has he been? But nobody could give me an answer.
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
It took him that long.
It's just unbelievable. Truly. It's I have to lock myself in my toilet and weep, because I do not want my children to see their father cry every single day. It's something that has changed me forever. It's changed how I move professionally and personally. I was always intentional, but I'm really intentional about the art that I make, the films that I make, who I work with, how I work, how I try and finance my work. And for those in Nigeria that are worried about their American visa, that's because I'm guessing they want to either go on holiday or go for business, right? It's one or the other. But on your deathbed, in the twilight years of your life, you're not really going to be thinking about that. You're going to be thinking about the decisions you made that actually counted for something.
Indeed.
And I think we should all remind ourselves of that.
Indeed. 2 weeks ago, Israel again killed journalists in Gaza, Anas and four of his colleagues. Finally, the world woke up to, in fact, I have to confess, yes, I have been upset since October 8th, when Israel told us the truth of their intention. October 8th, 2023, they told us the truth of their intention. And yes, Israel had started to kill Palestinian Gazan journalists immediately after that. Once the onslaught began. But something happened with Hanas. Something happened. And I think it's because I can speak for myself, where I watched him so often. You start to feel like I would say, Misan is my brother. We're all brothers and sisters in Nigeria. So when you watch somebody on TV, you start to think, that's my guy. Yes, I'm going to listen to him. My TV's on mute. I'm going to listen to him. It broke everybody. Over 200 journalists have now been killed. What is Israel trying to hide?
Well, there's many things with this journalist situation that drives me mad. The first thing is the racist premise that we need Western media, right? We don't need Western media. We have Palestinian journalists, and they're bloody good at what they do. But the racist premise that every single brown man and woman that is wearing that press jacket is a terrorist is manufacturing consent for cold-blooded murder. In 2018 or 19, I'm not sure which year exactly, Shireen Abu Akleh was murdered. She's a U.S. citizen. She was assassinated in plain sight. And this is what really put me on a real journey on understanding what on earth is going on in this state. Because in her funeral, the IOF decided to go and beat up the pallbearers. And in my life, us Nigerian people, we've seen all kinds of bandits. I have never seen police beat people that are holding a coffin of a person that they murdered. The people that are listening, they should Google funeral of Shireen Abu Akleh. It is one of the most horrific set of images I have ever seen to this day. And that's when I knew there's something very wrong going on here. At a funeral. So this is the behavior. It happened this way before Anas. This is how journalists have been treated way before October the 7th, 2023. The videos that came around after Anas had been murdered of him and his little girl, my God. You know, and the idea that now they're less and less left. I mean, that was the whole news team of Al Jazeera in Gaza is dead, is murdered. You know, there are still people, and I did a post tagging as many as I knew of that are still alive that we must all support, that we must all follow. But we don't need Western media. We need to believe that Palestinians are capable of holding the microphone, and their weapon is truth. Their weapon is truth. And we should believe them when they say that children are being sniped in their head. We should believe them when they say that babies are rotting in incubators. We should believe them when they say that insulin and baby formula is not being allowed in. We should believe them when they show footage of people being blown 20 meters in the air due to the ferocity of the blast. We should believe them because we have audio, video, sometimes live evidence of everything that they're saying. And that's why they're being killed, because their weapon is truth.
Let me detour to your work and we'll come back to your activism. Okay, I watched the after. This was at the time when I was still stalking you, by the way. Oh my God. The opening scene, I screamed. I'm not going to tell all of you what happened, but you've got to watch it. It's only 18 minutes. It's on Netflix. I watched it when it came out. I can't remember how long ago it was. I screamed with David Oyelowo. What inspired that? Where did you get that story from, Misan? Where? It was insane.
Well, I wanted to have an observation of grief because I don't think any of us are okay, and we haven't been okay since COVID. All of us are going through a very specific journey in understanding how we can just navigate this new world that we are forced to deal with. But I also wanted to show Black trauma, and I actually wanted to show a Black man lose everything and give him the grace on screen to build himself back up brick by brick. And David, quite frankly, is one of the greatest actors of our time. And for him to give me a shot when I had no experience as a filmmaker was just a miracle. And, you know, we made this film, we shot it over 5 days in London, and we
was
didn't
that
know
the South
what
Bank?
to make of it.
Was that the South Bank?
Well, all over. There's some
upstairs
scenes in
the
the National Theatre. Yes.
Yeah, the National Theatre.
But we put it out into the festival circuit. It kept winning everything, and then in January 2024, I watched live with my wife on my sofa, like everyone else did, when they announced the nominees for the Academy Awards. And I grew up worshipping the Oscars. And I all sat there and they said, best live action short. The first one they named, The After. And I just froze. I was like, oh my God. And I became the little boy that, you know, in many ways, like anyone, you know, had dreams, but never thought they would amount to the actual sort of Academy Awards. And it just goes to show that listen to your inner child. You know, here's a man that picked up a camera at the age of 40, and within 5 years, I'm an Oscar nominee. Ow. And then somebody told me not long ago that I'm the first Nigerian director to be nominated for an Oscar, which is embarrassing in its own, because we have so many gifted directors. But, you know, yeah, I still can't process any of it, truly. But here we are.
I mean, the film deserved, I didn't want it to end. I know you deliberately ended it like that, and I'm not going to give the game away. I didn't want it to end, but I do know that as a black sister, I kept thinking, I need to go in there. He needs me. He needs me. You know, he needs me. And I really felt a strong sense of responsibility for his grief.
Well, just you wait. I can't say much now, but David and I are cooking up our next project together, and it's a feature film with me directing, starring him,
David has to come and talk to us. Otherwise, tell him I was stalking.
When it's done,
tell him I was stalking.
Don't worry.
Call me the stalker, the stalker broadcaster. I was talking, but yeah, so that's, I mean, congratulations again. And you continue to make Nigeria proud. You know, my producer calls you our Naija brother. Like I said, Obi, you know, I'm like, Obi, I can't get hold of your brother. Please tell him that. And then my friend who we call Mr. Steez, Farouk, when I put out the flyers about you that I finally got him, he said, I'm sitting with Toyo, and I can't remember whether it was your mom, sitting with them right now. I mean, you're literally Lagos. You know, all your people are around. You're our own. Like, seriously, our own. How does it feel, though, to be celebrated by us in that way, by home? Even though, yes, UK is also home. You know, those of us that have that dual nationality.
Yeah, and I'm very proud, and I hope I sat down with Alayo, this amazing young woman at Kingube, who is doing amazing things in the art world, and we spoke about Nigeria's influence on culture, and I hope I am showing that we don't have to toe the line to Black success doesn't have to mean that we lose a sense of moral clarity. You know, I think we often worship billionaires. You know, someone's coming out of his private jet on Instagram once again. I mean, Christ, there is so much more to this world than that. And I hope that, you know, they are seeing a Nigerian man that is certainly being a success, but it isn't, the success part isn't defining me. What hopefully is defining me is what I'm trying to do. As I climb, I lift, right? As I climb, I lift. And I think it's just a really important thing, because this individualism that has become part of much of what people aspire to is what's making this world unlivable.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, I can inspire folks to say, you know, let the vibes be altruism. Right? Let the vibes be thinking about others. Let the vibes be thinking about our planet and our children and what we are going to leave when we are long gone. I hope I live long, but I know that my children will be able to understand that I did my best, above and beyond any wealth accumulation, that my voice and my art was there to build bridges. And that's far more important to me than any kind of fancy show of obvious material gains. So that's who I'm trying to be, and hopefully it will be infectious for others that can see themselves going on a similar journey.
Well, you're doing a very good job, if I may say so. Not
And I must say, my film as well, my other film, which is directed by my new film, Anthony
Yes.
Monte Castle, who is an amazing Nigerian filmmaker. He
Another
won a BAFTA
Ninja.
last year for White Nanny, Black Child, and he has made something astonishing. I am just a subject. It is a feature-length documentary on my life. It's called Shoot the People. And we're going to be doing worldwide cinematic releases, including Nigeria as well, over the next year. But I can tell you, this film, what this man has made, Andy, goodness gracious. And we shot it over 2 years, observing what it means to be an artist that is uncompromising in refusing to look away from injustice in an age that pays you to be apathetic.
Indeed. You know, I could go on talking to you. They're telling me I need to open up the lines. The lines are going, but I need to tell them to calm down just a little. I'd like to talk to you about multicultural Britain. Multicultural Britain in 2025. There's a story, there's an outrage, there's the father in you that spoke on your handle about something that happened to your daughter at the park. How is multicultural Britain? How did we get here? I know it's always been crazy. I know black men have always been targeted. Of course, we know that Britain has always had 8 black issues. But now, after all the education, we are here. How? How is it somebody has the audacity to say that about your daughter to her mom? You're better than I am, because I would have gone out looking for them.
Well, you know, I think the age of unrepentant racism has been enabled by a very toxic internet. The far right being emboldened by a specific Twitter, X, allowing them to just say what without any risk of, you know, having their accounts deleted. So the echo chamber becomes bigger and bigger by having Donald Trump and the MAGA crew be in power of the most, you know, culturally influential company in the country in the world. And then we have the growth of Nigel Farage in the UK and the Reform Party and other, you know, Tommy Robinson. And many people have drank the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid enough to say these racist and misogynistic remarks to women and children to their face. Many of them are cowards, though, because I don't think if I was there, that man would have said a damn thing. So, you know, the behavior isn't new, but it has become more visible. And frankly speaking, I'm happy. So I rather know who you are than you silently be thinking these things. And I think you're someone I can either do business with or be friends with. So let them keep shouting.
Indeed.
It's better to know.
Indeed.
Honestly.
Well, yes, it's interesting. That is what a lot of people said during the elections. I'd rather see Trump with his dagger in his hands than a Biden who's smiling to my face and doing something else behind my back. Yeah. Let me answer the calls. I'm coming to your calls now. Make it short, make it sharp, make it succinct. This is Borderlines. There's no time. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Elbert Chukwuzo calling from Ojo.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Please, I want to ask, are there still United Nations in this world? Another one, is there AU, African Union? Are they still exist? These two groups, are they still existing? Because what is happening in the whole world now is very, very terrible.
Don't worry,
it's
yes.
terrible. I don't know whether United Nations is still performing.
Thank you.
I don't see there.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, that's number one. What he was saying is, I'll remind you that what he said is there still a United Nations with all this that's happening? Is there still a United Nations? Hello? Okay. Hello?
Sorry.
Hold on a second. Yeah. Sorry, listen. Let me just answer more calls. Hello?
This is AY from Badagry.
Go ahead, AY. Very quickly, please.
Okay. I appreciate your guest. The 200 journalists that have been killed in Gaza. Wanting to use a binocular eye from the Israeli side, I would say, those journalists could be termed indigenous.
They could be what?
They are indigenous journalists.
No, they are Gazans, yes.
Yes. And they are all human beings, and we are all entitled to some bias.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm an Israeli or the Israeli side, they will allow them. They will kill them because they know the truth will come out.
So your question is, I need you to quickly, please hurry up.
What I'm trying to point out is that I kind of lost.
Okay, you can call back. I don't have the time. Sorry. Hello.
Yeah, Chief Ambassador, good evening.
Good evening, Chief Minister. Go ahead. Very quickly.
Wishes were horses. Hearing our guest now, he want to end that war today.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, I heard you will live long. Your children, you will see your children. I heard you said something. If you will live, you are going to live long, my brother. You will see your children.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Misan, that was one of our regular callers praying for you. Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, evening, SCC.
Yes, good evening, Emmanuel. Very quickly, please, hurry up.
I want to repeat the question I asked last week. That isn't it the time the media should protest? By at least giving these people a media blackout, because we all know the truth. There is no side they want to come and say.
Okay.
I said that question last week.
Yeah.
Ambassador Freeman came, lied for 30 minutes, merry-go-round for 20 minutes, and then give a threat for 5 minutes by saying that you will regret it. I don't even know if you had that statement because you never challenged him.
I did.
To the media protest at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What he's saying is, Emmanuel, yes, I had Ambassador Freeman, who is the Nigerian, Israeli ambassador to Nigeria. He was my guest last week. And what Emmanuel is annoyed is because he threatened me. He did say, you will regret this, and he thinks I didn't respond to it. I did respond to it. But I think what Emmanuel is asking is, isn't it time to give, for there to be a media blackout on Israel? So because all they will do is to repeat the same lines.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think, look, Margaret Thatcher did more than the Labour government have done. There needs to be a complete, which treats Israel as a pariah state. Everything that we did to South Africa in the 80s, we should do to Israel today, because I see no difference. In fact, it is more violent than what we've ever seen before, and more sophisticated with the kind of weapons that didn't even exist before. So we need to do enough for the population in Israel to really hold its own government to account in a way that I haven't seen. That yes, there are protests, but we need much more than protests right now, because if there is any kind of future of shared humanity, the current government has to stop. And Bibi Netanyahu is wanted by the International Criminal Court for a reason, right? I mean, we speak about this man like he isn't wanted by the International Criminal Court.
Yes. And then, but
he is wanted by the,
It's interesting that you say this, because now I've got to ask you, something that's not often spoken about. News came out a couple of months ago that David Cameron had called him, Karim Khan, to threaten him that if he were to actually issue the warrant, that the UK might withdraw their funding of the ICJ. It's incredible.
But, all of that, if that is on paper, if that is documented, all of that should be taken to The Hague, quite frankly. Because it's breaking the law. And the rules-based order set up after the Second World War is either was designed for everyone or only designed for us black folk.
Indeed.
Right? For us warlords.
Yes.
That's what they're calling us.
That's what they call us.
So when the Igbo people come and start doing this thing, it's like, but no.
Yeah.
No. If these children were blonde hair and blue-eyed that were having their limbs removed without pain relief, come on now.
Come now. The other question I had for you was, where is the UN in all of this? Is there still a UN?
I believe that the impunity of the state of Israel has lifted the veil on the rules-based order of the world. And at too high a cost, right, which is Palestinian life, we are now actually seeing how the world really works. And this is a moment where we reset and we rebuild the world to actually use international law for what it's supposed to be, not for what it suits neo-colonial imperialism. International law shouldn't be for just people of color. It should be for whoever is inflicting wickedness and evil around the world. And I don't think it is a debate now that Israel is a pariah state that is inflicting a medieval siege on a people that have a right, a human right to self-determination. And I was in the Royal Courts of Justice in one of the cases, and what I will say is that many of them are Irish, amazing barristers and legal minds that are dedicated, and they're young and well-trained and well-financed, and they are dedicating the rest of their natural lives to make sure the wheels of justice must and will turn.
Absolutely.
And they will.
And they will. Right.
I have to go.
You have to go. Now. Right. Okay. So Misan has to go. No more calls. They're throwing me off air as well, I think, within 2 minutes. Let me leave you. Give us one last 30 seconds. What message do you want to leave us with? What should we remember as human beings at this moment in time?
I think we should remember that the few that sit next to the levers of power must not dictate the status quo of the violence that we are seeing inflicted onto brown and black people today. That includes children in Niger. That includes children in the mines in Congo, so our phones can be faster. That includes babies being raped in Sudan, and it includes the medieval siege and eradication of the people in Palestine. We are all children of occupation and colonialism. And we must all come together with a singular voice saying, not on this watch. You will not have our natural resources anymore. You will not have our culture anymore unless you do right by the humanity that we deserve. If we do that, then we will break the chains of our colonial past.
Thank you so much. Next time you're in Nigeria, you got to be in the studio. Promise me that.
I will pull up fully.
Yes. Thank you so much, Misan Harriman. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Love to your family.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens.